Kelly and Yo Tillman, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Shel Broadnax with another episode of Stager Talk, Convention Speaker Edition. Look who we got on the call today, Miss Audra Slinkey, the woman,
Hello,
the
thanks
myth,
for
the
having me.
legend. How are you?
Doing really good. How about you?
I'm really well, really, really well. I cannot believe it's already been a year and we're like headed right back to RESACON. How's that happen?
I know it comes up fast. They go faster and faster these days.
I know. Don't you remember when you went to school when you were little and summer took like 7 months to get through? It was just took forever. And now it's like over like that.
No, I know. And I've been doing this. We just clocked. Now I'm on my 20th year. We just hit 19 like 2 weeks ago. It's
It's awesome.
crazy.
I'm a
It doesn't feel
22.
like I've been doing this long, but
It's crazy. I know. I started 22 years ago. And
yeah,
Reese is 17 years old this year.
yeah. I remember Risa came like 2 years after you and I talked.
Yep.
That was
Just chugging
awesome.
along, man. Chugging along. We're making it happen. So today, everybody who's joining us, we are going to talk about how to add design services to scale your staging business because Audra is all things creative and business and analytical and statistical. So this is a one-stop shop kind of woman to learn from. And if you are wanting to get into the design field or the styling field and scale your business, this is one of the sessions that you're not going to want to miss at all. I'm getting tongue-tied today. What are some of the top 3 things that people are going to take away from your session this year?
Oh, that's well, you know me. Here's kind of my process when I'm creating this and I'm still kind of doing it is I kind of brain dump in and then I slowly have to peel out to keep it to the time limit, right? But I think the key is to feel empowered to actually add design services in a way that they can tackle them in a way that it feels not out of their control or so chaotic or where the liability feels like it's too high. And in a way that they can manage or automate portions of it for scalability, whether they're a solopreneur or have a team. And also to talk about, I open up obviously with the why would they do this? Well, how does this benefit them? And frankly, we see so many changes in the staging world. And a lot of this came from obviously a lot of my experience. I've trained over 10,000 people in this field over my 20 years. And so many of them have become turned into design, have gone into design. Staging is that perfect stepping stone. I always say staging is the best business model to start. It is the best business model to start because so many people when they start my staging certification course, they're nervous, they're excited, they're scared, but they have that huge imposter syndrome, right? I don't have my 4-year degree. And so much of that training and also those first few months or years of getting started is kind of overcoming that, and realizing they have the talent. They've always had the talent. It's from their passion. But then this is just about translating that same talent to a different field where right now it's very, very hot. It's very lucrative. They're already doing a lot of this in staging sites, so they might as well. And there's frankly a little bit more money to be made, and it's a perfect hedge to what they're already doing.
Yeah, I love it. Now, when we're talking about the different types of design services that people can offer, so you've got color consults. Is that part of what you're talking about in this one, or is that something that's completely separate, or is it they kind of go hand in hand?
Well, I'm going to obviously, that's one reason why, for, the first however many years of my business, I just had the staging and redesign certification. So in its simplest form, kind of 1 day redesign, that's a little passe. I don't think people do that as much because now it's kind of more, that's evolved into more concept only e-design, which, I have a training for. Color consultations. Yes, that's an obvious. Stagers are already asked to do that. They're just not always charging separately for it like they should be when it's a full kind of color consult. Um, and then obviously Airbnb design is an easy add-on, but I'm actually just talking about even traditional design where you're actually, going in and you've already worked with the seller, transforming their home to sell. This is the perfect client that you already have who knows you, loves you, trusts you. Now let's help that person in their new home. And how do we do that? without
Absolutely.
it becoming a months long process dealing with their general contractor renovations. How can we pare that down? Because that's been the complaint that I get from a lot of my stager designers, where they're like, yeah, I'm helping. It took me literally 6 months to work with this client on their new home, and it's just this is why I don't want to do design, because it feels there's just so many moving parts and it feels too out of my control. So my goal is to kind of tame that tiger for stagers and set up kind of a business model that is easier, focuses on putting them in their sweet spot. It's easier for them to manage, and it's just different than the traditional design way, because I've watched too many designers who are really frustrated and overwhelmed, and there's a simpler way of doing it.
Yeah, for sure. So with something like this, so you'll be teaching people how to, if they've already done them if they've already done work as a stager and they moved locally, to go in and to do some design on the new home, which is always a great upsell to be able to have, especially if they loved your staging.
Yeah, that, but also setting up some of the systems in place to even make that happen. I mean, I just got off the phone with a stager who's, super busy. Not all stagers are busy. She's so busy, but she's like, I really want to work with clients who do this sort of work, design work. How can I do that? And I said, well, first of all, we have to speak to the struggle. Who is that client? What is their struggle? And then how can we reach them? And then secondarily, a lot of your materials need to speak to that. Okay, you want to do renovation for resale design, where you're doing like whole home more renovation, rather than just staging with the furniture. And I said, so your materials and your platform and your back end needs to support that in an automatic way, so that you can scale in that. And she just doesn't even have time to necessarily create that, that platform of, automation, which is some of what I taught 2 years ago at the RESA convention that a lot of people love, that design Streamlined. And that still goes into play in here. I have a lot of that even in every one of my training courses, because until you can automate pieces of your business, you're going to be on that hamster wheel.
Yeah.
So it's about how do you automate that then from the design service standpoint too. But it would still fit with your staging service and your Airbnb design service and if you're already offering those things.
What about confidence comes into play with people? Because with this, I've found when I've talked to people that they have some confidence in the staging, but then to break over and to try to do design, the confidence goes down, where they're not even recognizing that, look, your skill sets are what's coming over here, and it seems maybe a little bit scarier than it needs to be.
I think confidence, I absolutely agree. Confidence comes from structure, knowledge, um, and also processes like vendors that you have in place. When you're confident that you work with really good vendors, or you have the perfect process for shopping for great resources that client can't get on their own, you're going to feel pretty good about what you have to offer, right? When you're confident that your general contractor or your cabinet maker, or whoever, if this is for kitchen design, is going to measure twice to cut once, and do the full rendering and design plan for you to make you look good, you're going to feel pretty good about going in and doing that kind of heavy kitchen remodel. But you have to have those little pieces in place. And that's, I think, where a lot of designers and stagers are like, where do I start? How do I get those pieces into place? What is the best way to shop for clients? What is the best way to do? Let's start with even concept only boards, and and give them the best resources that they otherwise wouldn't have, and at the best pricing. So when you're confident that you're giving them all of that, it's a little bit better. But the truth is, and it's funny that you mentioned that, the whole imposter syndrome thing. I have a post that's coming up even next week where I talk about kind of the truth of imposter syndrome is my 15-year stagers still feel it.
Mhm.
You're never not going to feel it, right? Every time I get in front of this session, I do live webinars, events every month, every 3 weeks, every month. I speak on the stage at RESA. I'm always going to feel it. You always have to feel it, and the only way you can get past it is through it.
Yep.
Is action, and that process, that structure. But I do find that when you have a structure, when that client's kind of, and that comes down to doing the pre-work, having that process for, okay, client comes in, this is the way we treat them, this is the email they're going to get, here's the investment guide they're going to get, here's the proposal they're going to get, everything is kind of dialed in. It definitely breeds more confidence.
Yeah, for sure. And I like the fact that with everything that you do, from Audra's reputation, if you haven't watched Audra or don't know a lot about her, her reputation is always that you just do it at this level. It's just you're raising that bar for people. And so when you're learning from somebody who's got those systems down and who can teach you how to do that, once you do it, shampoo, rinse, repeat. And then the more often you do it, the more confidence that you have.
Yeah. And ultimately, I think we can all agree clients have a higher expectation today than they ever had.
Yeah.
They expect a level of professionalism. They expect to be taken care of. And so we kind of have to meet that bar. We don't have to give into that bar from a price point because clients are willing to pay for that level. And the truth is we kind of stumble through sometimes, talking about our pricing and what we do because we're like, oh, afraid. And we're working on kind of being that low price leader. And I'm excited for Natalie. Natalie got her started with me. She's our keynote speaker, but she actually started with my training program. And I love that she's doing kind of the race to the bottom because I think so many times that's our mentality instead of saying, I'm going to save you so much money from the mistakes you're going to make normally in a design project, which happens if you don't have somebody to guide you. And this is what you're going to want to pay for.
Yep, for sure.
And I'm not cheap. But all of that back end, all that professionalism, you have to look the part. You have to.
You do. And that goes along with your own personal brand, because what I find was you and I both know confidence is what closes deals. And you can have 2 stagers, you can have 10 stagers that come out and bid a job at $5,000. Michelle Minch can walk in and bid it at 14 and she'll walk away with it. It's funny how that works, isn't it? But yet so many people are still wanting to, come in that low price leader. And I'm always recommending, no, mid to upper level. That's where you want to be, because even when you're looking for the low, think about the people that are looking for the low price leader, because those are kind of pitas in my book, and you're not going to be real happy with them as clients.
No. And the beauty of adding, again, design type services, kind of branching into that, is you are dealing with, this was one of the reasons why I love Airbnb design, right? Because a lot of times you're dealing business to business, you're dealing with the investor, you're dealing with the host. They understand that better design will make them more money. That is statistically true. And I know a lot of my designers, that's why my course has been so successful since we launched it last year, because people get that. They're like, oh, I'm tired of dealing with the emotional home seller or homeowner. So dealing with that, and they have that expectation of business to business, take the emotion out of it a little bit. But with design, I'm trying to remember where I was going with this, but yeah, the confidence factor is a factor. Michelle has the systems, the inventory, that is professional, that looks good. She knows her clients are going to be well cared for. She can, and so she's got everything kind of in place.
Yeah. And it's nice I had another show earlier where we talked about that, sometimes someone's not your right client, that it's okay to say no. And I think she's also got that part down where she knows who she wants to work with and who she doesn't. And she's not emboldened to desperation. And she does get to pick and choose. And that makes a whole bit of difference as well.
Well, and the key is, and this is what I'm going to be talking about a lot of in the training, you get to pick and choose when you're filling your pipeline. So you have to start with the end in mind. I already mentioned this. Who is the client we were going to talk to for what kind of services do you want to focus on? What does that client need to hear? What is their struggles? How do we market and reach them so that they're constantly filled into our pipeline, constantly going to our website? How are we taking care of them on our website so that they're touched, they're getting response immediately? 86% of clients who were 86% of clients who were responded to first will go with the first person that responded to them. Are we responding first? As solopreneurs, we cannot, because if we're with a client, I'm not picking up my phone if my website is saying, call me. They're going to my voicemail, right? So we need to have those systems in place and taking care of those clients along the way.
Yep, absolutely.
But the pipeline, so you can say no to that client. If it's not the fit, we're not desperate because we got 5 clients behind it that are waiting to talk to me. Right. And that's kind of the point. If you're if your marketing is automated and you're constantly running it to your site and you know they're just it's you're never letting go of them. If they filled out that form and got your investment guide, you've got an email sequence that's 2 months long. You're never letting go of them. Uh, then that's how sales happen. It's just a numbers game. But nobody sets that up in the back end. Nobody.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to show what that looks like and how they could set it up, like an example. But when you have that, it just is, you can say no to the wrong clients.
Yeah. So we got a question for you. If any of your Airbnb design students experience a drop off in business due to the crackdown on the short-term rental market on Airbnbs.
Well, the crackdown is in different locations. So a lot of areas, there's no crackdown at all, right? So it just depends on where you're at and where it's hitting you. And the first thing I tell people to do is you got to understand your market, right? Like anything. Okay, what service am I do? What is that? Like I said, who is the client? How can I reach them? How many is this? And so it's not the beauty of Airbnb. It's not hard to do that. Go to Airbnb, see how many rentals there are, see what the rules are in your area. No, I haven't, because a lot of times people take the course because their area is hot for Airbnb design and it's not being cracked down on as much because they've done that kind of pre-work. So they know, especially like my Floridians. There's just areas across the country that are just super hot for it. And then areas not as much. Yeah.
Yeah. I would think that even areas where you've got a lot of the vacations, the Florida's destination areas obviously are going to be really hot. But even what about, places that have, big tech areas, because people are coming in, flying in and out and doing business. And now people are wanting to, get an Airbnb instead of doing a hotel. I would think that those areas would be a decent area for those as well.
Absolutely. And a very similar market. So if you are experiencing a crackdown in your area, you know what that means? That means you're going to find a lot of second home buyers, because it means your area is naturally a high destination, tourist destination. The city is regulating it, so keeping the Airbnbs low. Those people that want to go there and stay in a home, and they don't want to be in a hotel, they are going to just buy a second home. So that is another market. And I have some of my stagers make great money doing just the second home, design market, which is pretty similar. You're designing for them.
Yeah, I would actually probably enjoy that, especially vacation homes. A little cottage in the woods or something. And
Especially where you live. There's a lot of,
hey, Maggie Valley is not far from me. It's about 90 minutes north of me. And apparently the whole area is like all vacation rental homes. It's like it's just burst and it all exploded up there.
So my most successful person that's taken my course, one of my most successful, Eve, she tells
that's
her
how I know.
story. She's my girl. Okay.
I love
So
Eve.
she started with my HSR course. She took it, in my Airbnb. Can you hear my dog? I'm sorry. She's losing her mind. Okay, good. Anyway, so she's in that area, and she tells me a story of how she was so sick of her job as a stenographer, court reporter, that she was just ready to get a waitress job. Like, she was so done. And now she's just like this Airbnb designer, property manager. So she actually, inside my Airbnb course, I have a secondary, like a bonus session where I picked her brain on taking it to property management, because that's where she's taken it to, where she's hired her whole family, and she even manages these properties. So not only design, but manages. She makes, 20 to 30% per rental. There's a lot of money to be made for the right personality that wants to do it. And she kind of shows in that interview how she does it, which I love.
Yeah, she does. And she does a great job. And last RESACON, we all flew back. We were on the same plane, and then we went into like the Sky Lodge with her and her husband, Jim. And I was so tired that day. I remember I got back and I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot. We did breakfast together. It's like you're just a blur of it all. But yeah, she says the whole thing is just banging up there. We drove through about 2 years ago, went up that way just to kind of explore a little bit. It is quite amazing. And what she's done, I was just so impressed with, when I met her and saw everything that she's done. And I like the brand, the Cabin Ferry. It's so fitting for the environment where we're at. It was just all really brilliant.
Yeah, no. And she's taken, like I said, she took my model and then she made it her own, which I love. And then I picked her brain on so this is how we all learn and grow, rising tides and all that.
Yep.
And so that's what I love, because I learn a lot from each one of, my people. And
Very,
yeah,
very cool. Well, one thing about RESACON that I think we both agree on is it's not just the sessions that are fantastic and the
yeah,
speakers, but so many people grow from the side conversations, the lunch or the breakfast that you're going to have some next to somebody that you just met. If somebody's on the fence about going to RESACON, what would you say to them?
yeah, more than even just the incredible network that you're going to get and the wonderful people that you're going to meet and all that you're going to learn is the energy that you're going to get. The one constant that I always hear and feel is energized. And so many times, especially in our industry, we're lone wolves a lot of times, or we feel like we're on an island just doing our own thing. And, feeling that connection and that energy that you get walking away from that kind of intensive professional learning, you just can't put a price on it. And people tell me it sustains them for months because they can tap right back into it, going back to their notes, going back to that session, and implementing that into their business.
Yeah, absolutely. This year we've got Luann's coming, keynoting. She's amazing. Of course, Audra's going to be here. We've got so many different subject matters. So no matter even where you are in your business, whether you're just getting started or middle of the road, or you've been doing it for 15 years, there's something there for everybody. So we
Yeah.
definitely encourage you to jump off that fence, like we say every time, and run to your computer and get your ticket today. Prices do go up in July, not January, July, they go up. So you want to get the best price that you can that's available right now. Any final
Yes.
words before we close? Any nuggets of
No, I'm
knowledge you
excited.
want to pass on?
No, I think I'm excited about this session because I'm learning a lot as I'm kind of building it and creating it and just trying to put myself, like I said, into my client's shoes. I know everybody that's been right where they're at, and they know design is hot. They know this is a big field. Everybody who saw the 2024 house study knows there's money to be made. They're just like, how do I break into this in such a way that I can be a part of it. I'm excited to get people to do that in a way that's not scary.
Yeah, for sure. I think adding on and scaling anytime in your business can be scary, but like you said, everything is about systems. And I mean, this is one consistency that we can definitely say for anybody who's a new entrepreneur is if you don't have your systems, you don't have a business. You're just going to be fly by night, ADD in it. And trust me, I'm like the biggest ADD, but you've got to have the systems that always shampoo, rinse, repeat, shampoo, rinse, repeat. And it's just the best way to do it. You can always tweak them as you go when you need it, but you've got to have the basis for that. And it's a lot less
And
scary that runs.
yeah, there's so much good technology right now. I mean, new technology that is just like, it's just going to save me so much more time. And it's funny because as soon as I like share that technology with my membership, it's like something else has come up that's just awesome, that it just excites me, so that as I'm less of a course creator of information and more of and this is, I think, what makes any course creator successful is you can't just share information. You have to give them the materials so that they're not reinventing or creating that stuff themselves.
Yeah.
Because that's the time consuming stuff that nobody wants to deal with. And so now with AI and ChatGPT, there's so much. And it's just a matter of, okay, so how do we tap that into our business to make it grow?
Yeah. AI, I'm super jazzed about. I'm just like, oh my God, this is epic. It is so cool. I mean, it's how we use it every day. We use it every day. And anytime something new comes out, I mean, Felicia for sure, she's going to learn what that's about. And then me at night in bed, I'm looking and saying, what's this about? How can we use it? I am super excited about it. And I know that people, are a little trepidatious about new technology sometimes, but AI is not going to put anybody out of business. It's going to help grow your business. Just got to hijack it and use it the way you need to, and good stuff
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. No, it's true.
All right. Well, that's it. We're at the end of our time. 30 minutes goes by so quickly. So again, jump off that fence, get to resaconvention.com and get your ticket today. Audra, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Wait to see you in July.
Yep. See you then.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks,
Happy staging.
everyone. Bye.